What's up, y'all? Welcome to the In the Front Row YouTube channel. Normally, we are a channel of lighthearted entertainment discussing fashion, sports, and music, but unfortunately, with the world events going on, we wanted to use our platform to help fight end police brutality, help heal the world, and help kind of move forward. So we thought the best idea with everything going on in the world right now was to bring in our members from our Laceup Podcast, Kelly Flicks and Juice. Guys, first of all, welcome to the show. I want to give you guys a warm welcome.
Whoop. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us on.
Yep. Over the past week, we have seen a lot go on in this world, so I do want to grab your guys' thoughts. A lot of athletes have really used their voice for activism, including Will Parks from the Philadelphia Eagles. He sent out a tweet. LeBron James has, Steven Jackson has, Jermaine O'Neal. A lot of athletes have used their, I would say, platform to help with the activism. So first, guys, I want to pass it over to you and kind of just get your thoughts of everything that's been happening over the past week.
Yeah, well, it's been a lot. It's super heavy. It's weighing a lot on the Black community for sure. A lot of people are on edge, but a lot of people have increased awareness about police brutality and racism at the time. I think that Steven Jackson, he was friends with George Floyd, and what he had to say at his rally was extremely powerful because it not only called on our allies, it called on our allies to commit action. Yeah.
Yep, and if you want to kind of jump in as well, what were your thoughts last week?
I like that we're all speaking up, but I also, obviously I think Steven Jackson had the most touching one because he knew the man. I'm just glad that it's being recognized by all. So obviously the players are coming to talk about it. That's a good thing, but everybody's recognizing it. And I think for the most part, everybody kind of agrees this is wrong. We need to do something about it, and they're calling on all of us to do something about it to help the situation. So that's a positive. It's involving everybody. It's about time. It's just about time. It's kind of tough talking about it going into just because it's just so heavy and it happens so quick. Like what happened to him happened on Monday. It's Sunday now. It's like, it's still tough and everything going on expected. But I like that players are coming out and saying something and not worrying about the effects of saying something. Whether that be obviously Steven Jackson retired, but Will Parks coming out talking, that could affect his money, but he's still coming out and speaking on it because it's important. It doesn't matter what's going on. So I think that's a good thing. It's a good thing, speaking out regardless.
Shireen and Josh are also with me. I did want to mention that Fredo was unfortunately having some technical difficulties and won't be able to make tonight. Guys, Shireen and Josh, do you guys want to jump in here?
I honestly am speechless most of the time. I've been doing a lot of tweeting and people that I care about, they've noticed and thanked me for speaking up. I just have always been for equality and personally want to raise everybody around me up, everybody. I realize more and more every day that there's a lot of people like that, but then there's a lot of people that aren't like that. And I have nightmares actually. I have nightmares all the time about this kind of stuff and a lot of empathy. And I'm here, I just don't know what to do other than post on social media and try to get the message out. But I'm so thankful and appreciative of Juice and Kelly Flicks coming on to tell us how they feel. And I'd like to hear a little more. I know you guys are dealing with it by actually doing the thing you love the most, which is play semi-pro football. How's that going?
Yeah, Laceup. I mean, honestly, exercising helps, but just the point of it is that this is our whole lives. We've dealt with this to some capacity, and we've learned about it through personal experiences. That's the coldest part. There was no crash course. It was like a crash course. There was nobody teaching us. Nobody. It's hard to teach about police brutality or expect something to go wrong. It's very hard. And if your parents even tell you to look out for it, you still never know when it's going to happen. A lot of times we're in these situations and where we're acting normal. You know, we're being ourselves. I think being in those situations makes it very difficult for one, in this instance, to stay alive, and also I think that I just think that there's no understanding between the two. I think that some people come into it, you may get stopped by a police officer, and you may be on edge, and you may think like everything the police officer says, they're trying to get at you, and that's just their awareness. I think other times people are taken advantage of because they don't know their rights. So it's very difficult, and I think it's great that athletes are speaking out about it, because how hard it is to really speak about it and give full thoughts about it, man. It's so difficult. It's something that happens in the Black community, and we speak about it all the time amongst each other, sometimes with hate, honestly, sometimes with hate, because we're in a society where we feel like we are under attack, and we feel like the only way to protect ourselves is to stay together and speak about it and stay aware.
Juice?
To this point, it's something, it's something that you get accustomed, you learn early. And it doesn't happen every time, but when it does, it's like, it's surreal. Like on a lighter point, I haven't been involved with nothing like that in terms of actual brutality from an officer, but I have been a victim of just being harassed, literally because I'm Black. And, if you guys, I don't know if people, all you guys are in LA or whatnot, but LA area, we have like South Bay area, like Torrance area. It's kind of where I stay at. I just remember being around there with my friend in my car. We're not doing nothing. We're literally just sitting there talking about life. Like I'm like the most innocent thing you could be doing, having a conversation. We're at a park. We're not there. It's during the day. Cop pulls up. I'm not thinking anything because he just pulls up. Whatever. Pulls behind me. I'm not tripping. Walks up to my door. Hey, what you guys doing? Talking, having a conversation with my friend. Okay, Bob. Asking more questions. Stuff is like, why do you care? And then all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, I'm sitting on the curb. And nothing happened to me. I didn't get beat up. I didn't get hit. Nothing like that. But it's stuff like that. It's kind of like, really? And then you kind of almost develop, I don't want to say a hate because I didn't develop a hate, but like, it's like a defense. Like you get defensive really quick. So then things like this happen is real touchy. It's hard to talk about, but then you don't want to just blame all cops because not all officers are like this, and not everybody's like this. So it's really a touchy subject, but I think it's something that should be at the forefront and should be talked about. Because for a while I didn't want to talk about it because I was like, man, whatever. But it's important that we do speak on those things, and that it is in the forefront. That's the only way to make change. It's the only way to make change.
Exactly. And we saw police chiefs and a sheriff join in demonstrations in Trent, Michigan, or Flint, Michigan, and New Jersey. And I thought that was well received, and I'd like to see that here in Los Angeles, actually.
Yeah, I think that promotes unity. I think at this point, a lot of people, and I'm even noticing in these protests, it's not only Black people of different races. I think a lot of people are beginning to unite because they understand the oppression, they see the racism. And I think at this point in 2020, it's so blatant and it's on video. And I think the more people see it, the more people are like, this is not right. And I respect that. I respect that other races coming to our aid, marching with us, no doubt. And even, so you talked about like a policeman or a sheriff marching with people that are doing protests. No problem with that at all. I think that I think that the real issue is people that are going to protest, that are going to commit vandalism. Right. I think that's one of the biggest issues. And not putting it on any race. It could be anybody that's committing this vandalism. I think that deters the movement to a point. And I get it because people are upset, and it's a natural reaction to death. When you're scared or when you have fear about something, that's how you react. You have defense, fight or flight. So I can't see that, but I think that that may deter the movement.
I heard somebody interviewed by the news, and his name was Abel, and he said he was out there, even though he could die of corona very easily. He was ex-military, and he was out there trying to help the young people when they were on the streets understand the gravity of what was going on. And he said that when people get angry, they're not themselves. They're just in a fit of anger. And it's really difficult to get somebody in an angry mode to think straight.
Yeah, definitely. No, yeah, definitely. I mean, and you know, my opinion on the whole thing is, I don't want people to go with the wrong intention, because the wrong intention is not helping the situation, and it's not going to help move forward the movement. So if, you know, and I ain't got all the answers, I'm not going to act like I do, but I know that either, you know, through either protest or through actually going to your community centers and trying to make change in like legislation and shit, like, and things like that, are ways that we can move forward rather than the looting and the other stuff. But I don't want to focus on it, but it's so in your face. It's just taken away from the movement. I don't want people to take away from the actual issue, because when we do that, we're taking away from the issue. And, you know, I probably get a lot of backlash for saying that, because, you know, when people are kind of like not for the whole rioting in a sense, you know, people always look at you like, how could you not? Like, you know, no justice, no peace. And I understand that, and I get the anger. I totally get the anger. But that doesn't mean I can't say that in a sense is childish, because if we think about it, when children get mad, they throw temper tantrums. They start throwing stuff. They start breaking stuff.
Like our president? I'm sorry.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, he's a whole nother. I don't even want to get off into that. Right. But, you know, and I'm trying to, you know, you try to get across the point that, like, look, I get it. I'm as angry as you are. But I promise us doing this is not going to work. I've seen the crazy, you know, and I know we all probably have on Instagram and all this stuff. Like, we've seen the most craziest videos of people just doing stuff that just has nothing to do with it. I've seen the protests, the good things, but I've also seen the bad things where it's like, why? Like, why? And now you just going out to do that now. And you're taking away from the people who are really trying to make a change, really trying to like fight for us and be peaceful about it. Because there's a lot of peaceful protests going on. There's a lot of people walking and marching and getting their point across without harming anyone, without affecting anyone. But then it gets taken away, and especially in the media's eyes, because I feel like a lot of times it's, you know, it's kind of perceived a certain way, and they only show certain things. They're gonna show the looting and the burning and things like that. So I just want people to say, keep the eye on the prize. Keep the goal in mind. What are we trying to achieve here? That's what, you know,
Yeah, I do want to say I'm extremely saddened. I'm extremely heartbroken by what has been going on really for too long now. And it's enough is enough at one point. I do want to make sure to say that. Moving forward, I know anger can be a big piece of it, but moving forward, I guess, what's a way that kind of all of us can help? I know, like Shereen said, I've been posting on social media, I've been signing petitions, calling, everything like that. But what's the best way moving forward that all of us can really help really the movement and end police brutality?
Kelly, you want to tackle this first?
Yeah. There's different ways you can do it. Like you said, calling and things like that. Sean King is a good person if you're looking for a reference for somebody that if you're trying to get into the movement, trying to get into protest, and if you want to be aware. I think Sean King does a good job of making a lot of people aware. And I think also Black Lives Matter. They have a lot of different offices across America. You can reach out to your Black Lives Matter office or whichever one is closest to you. Depends on where you are. I think that awareness is one of the biggest factors, because people may think that they're aware, but they may not have the vast knowledge of what is going on. I think that you have to understand that we've been oppressed for about 400 years now, and that this is not new. I heard, so police brutality and Kumo actually brought up the fact that Rodney King was around 30 years ago. But there's been countless men before Rodney King that's been killed from police brutality and different racist acts. So I think that it is important. One, I want to formulate my thoughts a little bit better. I don't want to say something off the hip like that.
I mean, straight out of Compton, if you played that song, if you play that song, the words still pertain. That's what makes me so sad.
Yeah. I'll finish. So what I was really getting at is that all these years of oppression, I think that understanding that will help you understand the movement and will help you attack the movement better, attack our issue, which is racism. You know what I mean? I think that through awareness, through knowledge is power. The more you know, the better. I think that understanding things in the Black community helps y'all even more. It'll help you become more engrossed into the community. We're very accepting, and we believe in unity, for one. So I mean, what I think as long as somebody's aware, as long as somebody puts out the effort, there's no problem with being a part of this movement. No problem. No reason they can't be.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I think, and I don't know if I really had time to really think of like an actual plan of action, but I think the best way that I would say is through legislation. So, or maybe even going to our sheriff's department. Like I live close to Carson, like maybe going to Carson Sheriff's Department and, talk to them. Okay, how can we protest and voice our opinions? And how can we have this dialogue, this conversation with maybe your side, the sheriff's side, maybe, or the police officer side, or even just have this conversation and do it in a peaceful way and do it with,
how about you invite them to play Laceup football?
Maybe that too. Get them out there with us. But I mean,
never know.
You never
know. Everybody got a lot of steam to get off their chest.
A conversation needs to be had. It's a matter of a conversation need to be had, and then like laws changing, because I think people are going to do what they want to do. If somebody wants to do something to somebody, they're going to do it. But it's just that when it happens, there needs to be justice. People need to be held accountable, just like us civilians are held accountable. The actual situation with George Floyd, I think all 4 of the officers should be charged, because if I'm with Kelly and he robbed somebody and I'm driving the car, I didn't rob somebody, but they're going to get me as accessory.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing too.
There should be some new laws. I think there should be some new laws when it comes to police and around the country that there's maybe a law just for them, that they're not immune to prosecution.
Exactly.
And these are the rules, and you can't just because you've gotten away with it doesn't mean you're always going to get away with it. I mean, I saw something where was it Orange County, certain police have a tattoo on their arm, and
it's actually torn. I saw it on Twitter too. I think I know what you're talking about. It's tattoos that symbolize violence and like racism and all that. It was like my area, South Bay, Torrance, Carson.
Those people have to be rooted out ASAP.
Right.
ASAP.
Yeah, so it's an organizational issue, and it's something that needs to be talked about, but it needs to be changed with law as well. And that is the only logical way I can see it being changed, because rioting is not going to change it. Protesting brings awareness to it, which is why I like it. But at the same time, it hasn't really changed much. But it does. But it is a positive part of it, and I think that does need to continue. Protest does need to continue. But I think through legislation is the only way I can see this actually being changed to where people are being held accountable for their actions.
Are you guys going to encourage your friends and your family to vote?
Definitely.
Of course. I think voting for the right candidate, voting for the right candidates on the local level, you know what I mean, even on the bigger levels, I think it's very important. Local officials for sure. Tying into what Juice was saying, I think that most of our anger about this whole situation is just about the repercussions. If we would have done something, how we would have been dealt with, and how they have done something and they are not being dealt with. So I think it's part of that is about fairness. It's not all about just whatever the system and let's start it over. Part of it is about if you hold us to these standards, you must hold them to those standards also. I think that's a big piece of it.
Exactly.
Yep. Thank you so much for coming on. I know this is a difficult time really in America, and just, it's been a heavy past week, and really just too long. Like I said, enough is enough. Guys, just thank you for coming on and joining us. We're going to unfortunately have to take a break, but guys, really thanks again. Thanks for your advice.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Really, go watch their podcast.
Yes, go watch their podcast, the Laceup Podcast. Definitely make sure to check that out. Guys, we'll be back.